So, good afternoon, you guys. I do want to review AEW for 6/27, and I do want to say a couple of things that I will be reviewing AEW as much as I can. Please like, share, and subscribe. And then the other thing that I want to mention is that sometimes I may do it on like a Thursday afternoon for a couple of reasons. That I work the night shift at my job, so obviously I just got to make sure I come into work on time because there's usually a lot of overage with AEW, and also pardon the fan in the background because it's hot like a motherfucker in Connecticut. So without further ado, I want to go through this show, review all the segments, and I'm also going to try giving a little bit of a grading score for AEW. So the first segment is that MJF came out and he was interrupted by Daniel Garcia, and this was very surprising because obviously Daniel Garcia is somebody that's rising in the ranks, really, but he doesn't really. It feels like he's a little overstepping by interrupting MJF. He thanks MJF for saving him from the beatdown last week. He says nice things about MJF. You saw me as a pillar of AEW, not a background character. You motivated me to become better, respected me, believed in me. I can be a workhorse, backbone, and pillar. This is what, and this is what I want from Daniel Garcia. I really want him to be serious. I don't want him to do the stupid dancing, because he's way more than that. There's a lot in Daniel Garcia, and as I said, I think he needs to be a lot more serious. So this I really, really like. And then MJF says, you know what, I gave you the title shot because you earned it. I whooped your scrawny little ass with you taking a break, without taking a break. Daniel Garcia, you are the grind. And all these things are just meaning that, Daniel Garcia has really evolved from the time that MJF first wrestled him. He's definitely changed to a more serious wrestler. So I understand that some of it may be breaking his balls, but the other part of it is just saying that Danny Garcia really is somebody that's becoming bigger and better. And I do agree with that because obviously some of you guys may not know the story about Daniel Garcia, about what happened during the New Year's Eve show, that he got mad and he threw his shoe or something like that at Tony Khan. And the reason why he did that was because he was mad about the sharpshooter spot that they did. Like they did on the announce table, they both fell off. And I think that Tony Khan believes in him. But I think that what I saw was, I thought Daniel Garcia was being entitled. But I think he just did that because he was angry, because he takes his work very seriously. And maybe Tony or somebody suggested him the spot, really. And I think he's trying to say, you know what, I do not want to be looked at as a clown, really. Or I don't want to be doing spots that could make me look foolish, because we all know that if you do like a submission on a table, people can fall off the table, or that's how Kurt Angle, like he doesn't move on a table and then people fall through because of the weight. So I think that what I saw from that is that Daniel Garcia wants to be taken seriously, and he's putting a lot of work to do that. So I really respect Daniel Garcia. He is one of my favorite wrestlers because I see a person who gives a shit about being serious. Even Matt Taven, I'll say that. I think Matt Taven, there's something in him that he wants to be serious. And even like the Gates of Agony, I'll say that too. Or even like Brian Cage. I think that they don't know how, but there's something in them that says, I want to be serious, I want to matter, I want to show up, and I respect that. So MJF versus Daniel Garcia is teased for Wembley Stadium, and before Daniel Garcia says yes, Will Ospreay comes out, and Ospreay puts over Swerve and mentions that next week he wants to give Swerve an international title shot. And then he says, since I'm going to be the AEW champion next week, why not winner take all? So that means he's saying that next week he's going to have the international title and the AEW title defended, and Daniel Garcia could easily win those things. So when this happened, that obviously MJF tells Daniel Garcia best of luck, really, but obviously MJF is pissed because Will Ospreay just upstaged him, and Daniel Garcia responded to that. So he didn't realize that obviously he just he made MJF feel ignored, really, and respect is very important to MJF. So I think that MJF is also teasing that MJF has a lot of insecurities, really. So I do think that MJF is adding something to his character where it's like, you know what, you may have not realized that you disrespected me, but you disrespected me by acknowledging Will Ospreay. So I think that's what's happening. Unfortunately, when I did this whole entire segment, I gave it a 6 out of 10, and I think we know why. Because when I swerve, when I drive, when I swerve, when I strive, you're beating me, you lost your mind. Once again, he's not in this segment, so you're honestly seeing what we see a lot of at AEW, that Swerve is not given a chance. Really, they're saying that we rely on MJF and we rely on Will Ospreay too much. And then also, what happens is that you see Swerve backstage, and you hear the audience go, "We can't hear you. We can't hear you." Because a lot of times what happens during these AEW tapings is that sometimes they don't turn the microphone level up in the backstage segment. So obviously people can't hear the audience. And that's honestly a piss poor way to treat your world champion. So they made Daniel Garcia a bigger deal. They're definitely foreshadowing some feuds. I'm very interested to see where they go with Daniel Garcia. Daniel Garcia, he needs to be the star of the year. He needs to be the rookie of the year. You did that with the Acclaimed in 2022. Last year you did that with Ricky motherfucking Starks. And this year you need to do it with Daniel Garcia and Brian motherfucking Cage, because Brian Cage deserves it. And then also the Patriarch, you need to make them a bigger deal. So let's see what happens with this. And definitely it's going to be a huge victory if you have MJF versus Daniel Garcia. Will MJF turn heel and screw over Daniel Garcia, and then will this lead to a big feud to Wembley Stadium? Will Daniel Garcia be in blood and guts and become a bigger deal? And I think he should also do that. He should just really put in the grind. He should be on Death Before Dishonor, Blood and Guts, and all those things. He should make himself a bigger deal. But this segment gets a 6 out of 10. It would have been maybe a 9 out of 10, but again, Swerve, your champion, is not there, so that's very disrespectful to him. And they're not getting over the Swerve problem, so I had to give it a 6 out of 10. The next match was Moxley, Claudio, Wheeler Yuta, Himuro Tanahashi, Shingo Takagi, and T-Tak. So the whole point of this match was really just trying to make Shingo Takagi a big deal, because obviously he's going to be wrestling Bryan Danielson. Most people don't know who the hell he is. So obviously, was the mission accomplished in this match? Absolutely. Claudio does a side headlock on Takagi. Claudio does a couple of uppercuts. Shingo Takagi does a hip toss on Claudio. Hiromu Tanahashi does his scissors on Wheeler Yuta. T-Tak does a toupee, superseda, and crossbody on Wheeler Yuta. Wheeler Yuta does an enziguri on T-Tak. Claudio does a tilt-a-whirl looking backbreaker on T-Tak. The split screen camera goes on for a while, and I did not like that, because that was when that's when Claudio does a Cesaro swing on T-Tak, and that would have been cool to have that on camera, not really have that interrupted by a split screen. Shingo Takagi does a double DDT on Claudio and Jon Moxley. They do a great show. They do a great showing of Shingo Takagi, because obviously you know that it takes a lot to take out Shingo Takagi. So Bryan Danielson and the audience know that he's not going to be an easy opponent to defeat, really. So mission accomplished. Shingo Takagi does a super kick on Wheeler Yuta. Hiromu Tanahashi does a Death Valley driver to Wheeler Yuta. Moxley uses the chair. I'm very happy that Moxley did this, because this is very unpredictable. What happens in a lot of these matches? The Blackpool Combat Club will win. I actually made a mistake. I thought Bryan Danielson was going to be in this match, so I actually thought that he was going to win and that he was going to get the pinfall. But the second thing he thought was that Moxley would get the pinfall. He uses a chair, so unpredictable finish. Also, Shingo Takagi, I wouldn't expect him to get the pinfall, because in a lot of AEW matches they're gonna suck the Blackpool Combat Club's dick. That's usually what Tony Khan does. So this ending was unpredictable. I appreciate that. And the reason why he did that was that Moxley did that was because all these wrestlers are in a faction called, I think, LFI. LFI Japan, and obviously the leader of that's Tetsuya Naito. So obviously this sets up the Tetsuya Naito and Jon Moxley match. And I think this was a great showing of Shingo Takagi, because we need to understand, like, who he is, what he can do, and that he's formidable for Bryan Danielson. This will not be a cakewalk for Bryan Danielson, and you need to establish that he's a big deal. Mission accomplished with this. This was an 8 out of 10 for me. The next match was Jay White versus Rey Fenix. I was really happy that the referee had everybody go to the back, because he knows that the Blackpool Combat Club, he knows that Bullet Club Gold cheats a lot. And then also the other thing too is that in response to cheating, you're going to have Death Triangle and Penta El Zero Nero out there, because they're going to defend Rey Fenix. So he's kind of like saying, okay, this is an own heart match. This is for a shot at Wembley Stadium. We're not going to have any of this bullshit. It's going to be a fair and square match. So obviously, him having everybody out of the match, I was very proud of that. That's good continuity, because he knows that these teams do that. And then also, too, he wants to make sure that if a winner goes there, they won fair and square. It's not because, they had interference bullshit happen. I'm happy the referee ejected people. There was a bunch of quick... it starts with a quick 2-fall of Rey Fenix to Jay White. Rey Fenix does a head scissor. Rey Fenix does a top rope into an arm drag, which looks cool. Rey Fenix does a frog splash. Rey Fenix was doing like a majority of the offense. And I said to myself, this is going to really, really hurt a lot of fans for Jay White to get the win, because, Rey Fenix is one of those people that I think he should be a bigger deal in AEW, but they don't treat him like a big deal. And that whole thing with him becoming the international champion, I think he's like the international or TV champion, the title he won from Jon Moxley. It's very, very sad that they didn't really make something out of that, really. So I do think that Rey Fenix has a lot of potential, but he's kind of in the Kenosi Takeshita or Brian Cage role. He's there to job when they want him to job. I don't think they believe in his potential, and that's really sad. Jay White does a spike DDT and Brainbuster. There's a lot of 2 falls and counters. Jay White hit the Blade Runner and wins. This is a 7 out of 10. Really great match, really great showing of Rey Fenix. But the issue is, what are you going to do with Rey Fenix? I really think that they're obviously going to just not treat Rey Fenix like a big deal after this match. It's just going to be like, oh, well, it is what it is. He's just another guy on the roster. He's nothing special. So this is not... So that really upsets me, because he deserves to... he's a workhorse. He deserves at least a push, really. So I do think that that's why I gave it that grade. But I'm very happy that they have no interference. I'm very happy that also Christian Cage came down, and they're teasing a match for the Bullet Club Gold versus the Patriarch. But I think that would have been the best match to have at Forbidden Door, but they're not going to do that. However, this is something that needs to happen, really. And also, too, you can't have all the matches that you want at Forbidden Door, really. So if they kind of build up to this, maybe this could be at Blood and Guts or something like this, that I think that would be good, really. But that needs to happen, really. So I'm happy that they're teasing this, I think they did a lot of great foreshadowing to stuff that should happen and needs to happen in AEW, so I'm very happy with that. The next thing was that there was a Young Bucks promo, and they said that the last spot of the Owen Hart's tournament, they're entering a person in there. So I'm thinking to myself, it's going to be Kazuchika Okada, or they're probably going to have maybe if Will Ospreay loses, they're going to have Will Ospreay. The Acclaim comes down to the ring. The Acclaim hypes the crowd. The EVPs come down. And then what happens is that Daddy Ass mentions that he knows a president of a company, and a president of a company is going to help him out. So a lot of people get confused with this. So they're actually saying, oh, well, obviously he was in DX, and the only president that he knows is Triple H, the president of WWE right now. So it's going to be the Acclaimed versus the Scissor King, Hiroshi Tanahashi, versus the Young Bucks and Kazuchika Okada. So this is going to be a great match, because obviously Hiroshi Tanahashi is known to be this really great wrestler. So I was very happy with this promo. This is like an 8 out of 10 with me. I'm happy that Hiroshi Tanahashi was announced, but I'm also kind of happy because they are having a match. They should have a match in Long Island. They subverted expectations really, and also too that they're going to get tag team shots. So when is that going to happen really? So again, we want that to happen, but sometimes you can't give everybody everything at a pay-per-view. You have to kind of spread things out. So I'm happy that this subverted expectations, but I'm happy with this end result, really. So I know I had to speed through it because my brother's gonna come home, and I hate that because his big ass is gonna he's gonna interrupt all this shit that I'm doing. Tony Storm, Mina Shirakawa, Mariah May, Anna Jay, Saraya, and Harley Cameron. Mina Shirakawa does a taunt to Anna Jay in the middle of the ring. I did not like this comedy. Mariah May and Mina Shirakawa do a double drop kick on Anna Jay. Mariah May delays who she wants to tag in. I get the storytelling that they're trying to do, but it really reads as dumb comedy. Tony Storm does a German suplex on Saraya. Harley Cameron does a backstabber on Mina Shirakawa, which looks really, really sick. No, Harley, yeah, Mina Shirakawa does the Mina driver on Harley Cameron. I would say this is a 6 out of 10. And then what happens after the match is that Mina Shirakawa wants to hit Tony Storm with a champagne bottle, and she actually ducks, and it hits Mariah May, really. So now this is kind of being really set up as, that Mariah May is going to be on Tony Storm's side. And then also we know that there's no way that Mina Shirakawa is going to win this, because it doesn't make sense for her to win this. And then the next thing I want to say is that I think that Tony Storm really needs to move on. The Tony Storm thing is not good. The other issue is that she does a lot of dumb comedy, so it doesn't really help anybody. It just really needs to go away. It really, really needs to go away. It's run its course, really. So I gave it a 6 out of 10. Jericho promo. Brian Keith is injured, and I also like that Chris Jericho mentions that he's there to help out young people in the company, and I like that because he knows people don't like him and call him a glory hog or somebody who always likes to take people's spots, really. So he's riding the controversy. Chris Jericho mentions that Minoru Suzuki is going to take Brian Keith's spot, really. And then Minoru Suzuki gives him a message, and Minoru calls him Chris fucking Jericho. That gave everybody a pop because that's really funny. And then Minoru Suzuki says he wants nothing to do with the Learning Tree and Chris Jericho. And then you don't know what's going to happen. Maybe Minoru Suzuki is going to do a double cross. Like, he's going to say he's not involved, and then he's actually involved. And I think that's what he's going to do, because he knows that he's going to get a shot at Chris Jericho, even if he says, okay, prevo quo. Jericho bitch slaps Samoa Joe, and this is really funny because you all know you don't bitch slap Samoa Joe. Joe headbutts Jericho. So right now it looks like it's going to be two people versus 3 people, because people can't stand Chris Jericho. And it'll be funny if they do that, or maybe Minoru Suzuki comes down at the very end and saves the day, really, and gets the edge, because everybody's going to be tired out, really. So I do appreciate the swerve, because obviously when people do promos, they're obviously joining a team. This time Minoru Suzuki is breaking that structure, and you don't know if he's going to double cross people, because he is a heel in Japan, really. So this could be a double cross. So I appreciate the subversion of expectations, 7 out of 10. The next match was Kyle O'Reilly versus Zack Sabre Jr. I did not like this match. There was a lot of counters and submission attempts and dodging moves. So it felt like they're moving around very, very slowly. So I felt that this match would move slowly. It was really boring. I didn't get really into this. There's no signature moves in this match until a little bit later. So I was a little taken out. I was actually working on my phone during this match. Zack Sabre Jr. Puts Kyle O'Reilly in a head scissors submission attempts, but getting boring after they do that for a while. Zack Sabre Jr. wins. Obviously, he's going to win, because you can't have him lose too many times, especially since he needs to look strong against Orange Cassidy. I didn't get into the match. Very repetitive with submission. Zack Sabre Jr. is obviously going to win since he's facing Orange Cassidy. 4 out of 10. The last thing was the Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland versus the Gate of Agony. The Gate of Agony looked very stupid. I did not like the garb that they wear. I was like, what the hell are they doing? They look really Egyptian, but they're trying to look Samoan. So I know they're trying something new, but they look very retarded with all that garb on. So, and also, too, they really need to be pushed. They need to be look as a formidable team because they are kind of like a bunch of jobbers. And it's kind of bad that they're going out of their way to be different. So they kind of look like idiots. They kind of look like Team Rocket almost. They're trying to be a big deal, but they end up losing. So you really have to kind of be like, okay, they're a formidable team. They actually get victories. We need to put titles on them or ROH titles if you're actually going to make them that team that everybody faces, really. Or you should at least give them the victory against Will Ospreay tonight. But you can't take a team like this and try to make them a big deal, but always have them lose, really. And if they're wearing garb and other things like that looks a little out there, and you have them lose, they kind of look like a bunch of jerk-off Halloween characters. The Gates, and I said it to myself, they should have had Brian Cage in this because obviously, Brian Cage has been having a lot of matches. More people know who Brian Cage is, and then instead of like the two other guys in this match, Ospreay does a monkey flip onto one of these guys. It looks really cool, and most people don't really know who the Gates of Agony people are. They don't even have like the credits of the title, so you don't know who the fuck they are. One of them looks like a mix of Jey Uso and Umaga. Ospreay and Swerve do a double team. They're teasing Ospreay and Swerve may implode. Swerve was being down a lot, and Ospreay doing a lot of offense. So once again, you're making Ospreay look very, very strong. Swerve goes through the top rope and does a knee. He goes through the middle rope. He does a dive through the middle rope, and he does a knee stomp on I think on Leota, if I'm saying his name correctly. That looked really cool. Ospreay does a Spanish fly that looks cool. Swerve allows Ospreay to get the finishing moves and pinfall. And the way it's really articulated is Swerve does not care about glory. He cares about getting the mission accomplished. He wants to really beat these people, so he cares more about the mission. So I like that because obviously, that shows a lot of character development, but that doesn't make him look weak. It says, what, the mission is to beat these guys. The mission is to beat these guys, so we look strong. Swerve Swerve does a sneak attack on Ospreay, and I really like this because what happened is he's responding to the fact that Ospreay's holding up both titles, and the reason why Ospreay is doing that is because he's trying to be like, everybody, I'm going to beat Swerve easily. And Swerve's like, no, you're not doing that, and you kind of act like you are a big deal. You're kind of acting arrogant. You're acting like you're going to be this great big champion. Like, I'm just a pushover. So he's responding to the disrespect or the overlooking that Will Ospreay is doing, and that's good because you're giving Ospreay a weakness of being cocky, arrogant, thinking that he's gonna have an easy time to the top. And Swerve says, no, you're not gonna disrespect me. You clearly are overshadowing me. You're being like Peter Griffin during the football game. You're being Mr. Shibupi. You're showboating. You're grandstanding. So and Will Ospreay mentioned something about shagging his wife. So is Will Ospreay Austin Powers? Yeah, boy, type of thing, really. So overall, I like this ending because you're making Swerve look strong, but obviously you're showing that Swerve is a little sick, just like everybody's a little sick of Ospreay grandstanding, and that's good because you need to give characters weaknesses. That's Ospreay's weakness. He's overconfident, and he acts like he's the biggest deal in the show, and it's good because if you give a character like that a weakness, that's good storytelling because every character should have a weakness. Ospreay should have a weakness, and his weakness is that he works too much. He's very enthusiastic, and he thinks things are going to happen for him easily. That's good storytelling. You build a weakness, but obviously you have everybody respond to that weakness because it is disrespect. And also, MJF feels disrespected by Ospreay, and Swerve feels really disrespected by Ospreay. So that will lead to future matches. That's good storytelling. The storytelling has really improved because people are reacting the way that they need to react, and I really appreciate that. This was a really great show. This was a really great build to making the right wrestlers look strong. And Swerve needs to talk. I wish Swerve was talking to the audience more. I wish they opened the show with Swerve. And I do not like Toni Storm. I think her comedy stuff needs to end, really. The last segment, the last match with Swerve and Will Ospreay, I definitely will give it an 8 out of 10, really, because I think that obviously you accomplished a bunch of things, giving Ospreay a weakness, and then also just giving Swerve a reaction to Ospreay's arrogance and making it all make sense, really. So I really think that, obviously, with my grading system, when I look at the whole entire show, I really would just give it A minus. I really think that this was an A minus show, and I really think that there was a lot of strengths versus weaknesses. I really think that they care about building up the Forbidden Door. They're adding a bunch of matches to the card, and some of the matches are things you don't expect. So because as I said, that even though you should have the Patriarch versus Bullet Club Gold, and you should have the Acclaimed versus the Young Bucks. Sometimes, if you have all those matches on the card, you're better off kind of saving them for other shows, because the problem is that then it's like, why should we look forward to regular television? Because sometimes you got to like you got to just break up the rewards a little bit. So definitely I totally get that. The next thing that I do want to say is that also, when you had the Young Bucks, they kind of did their dumb comedy, but really the whole thing was leading to Hiroshi Tanahashi actually having a match, and we all like Hiroshi Tanahashi because he's a great motherfucking wrestler. So I like how, even though you had some dumb comedy, that wasn't really overshadowing. The Young Bucks kind of knew that they're annoying, but they also kind of knew how to make everybody respond to it. They're annoying, but you end with the Acclaimed and an exciting match being announced, really. So that way you're not really, you suck the life out of it, but you give a response to sucking the life out of it a bit. You know what I mean? You know what? You have the liver and onions, but then you show off the ice cream sundae for dessert, really, type of thing, really. So overall, really great show. AEW needs to have more shows like this. Very, very strong. Next week is a big show for them. It's their Shark Week thing, but usually their show after a pay-per-view is usually very crappy. They need next week to build up to Blood and Guts. They need to build up to the Battle of the Belts that they have, and they also need to build up to Super Card of Honor, and I expect that from AEW, really. So they have a lot of stuff to do the next couple of weeks. Build the road to Wembley Stadium. These things should lead to matches and challenges and penultimates. And then some feuds and rivalries and some decisions being made, or maybe some matches or title match being interfered, or some feuds or other things happening, or the right people holding belts, and then you get that July stuff out of the way, and then you move on to Wembley Stadium. So definitely they're in their quote unquote elimination chamber season. So I really hope that the next couple of weeks they focus on the bigger goals, really. Their goal this week was to focus on Forbidden Door, make it a really great show, make it a really great draw, and they're definitely doing that. So mission accomplished for this week. But they need to kind of focus on future missions in the July shows. I was going to go to AEW in Chicago next week because I have the July 4th holiday off, but I go to Chicago way too many times. It's boring. I'm gonna be in Puerto Rico drinking some pina coladas, and I'm gonna be. When I swerve, when I drive, when I swerve, when I drive, you're beating me, you lost your mind. To all the bitches down there, So I'm gonna have a lot of fun, and then I'm gonna be watching AEW. If my Airbnb has like television, so I'm gonna be when I swerve, when I drive, when I swerve, when I drive, you beating me, you lost your mind at the clubs, and getting a lot of and maybe getting a bunch of bitches down there. I'm gonna be Granddad Bitches Freeman, except at 37 years old. So it's gonna be a lot of fun, really. I'm just I like to mess with you guys, but overall, really great show. Really great direction. AEW really gives a shit. They're gonna get more and more. They need to just have really high potential shows, and they need to live up with this potential and the storytelling leading up to shows and events, and they're gonna do well. Just keep the grind going, keep giving a shit, and it's gonna pay off.